G'day everyone. How are we all? I'm good. Had a great weekend. This is part 2 of the video from last weekend. This one's got Besh in it and myself, and we are building a worm bin, and that's it behind me, that 44-gallon drum. Food grade, of course, and really, it was just an excuse to do a worm time lapse. So stick around for that. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, they moved differently than I expected them to move, actually. So, yeah, that's really interesting. But yeah, we did it for fun, basically. We did it for fun, so come have some fun with us. So I am going to show you guys, and specifically to know how we can easily get worms out of castings. Now, these castings aren't finished, but what we are about to do is we're about to make a much larger breeding bin. We've got a big 44-gallon drum there with a tap on it, and yeah, we're going to transfer these worms in it. Now, I don't actually have to pull these worms out, but I'm really curious to see what they're like and how many's in there. So, because basically you can roughly estimate how many worms you have by their weight. I've forgotten what the measurements are, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to see how many worms are in this one. I've picked what I think might be the best worm bin, I hope. Let's see a few big ones in there. And yeah, let's see how we go. Yeah, so I've just removed cardboard. I've actually got some eggshells here, which have been roasted, and I need to put in the blender, but well, I stole the blender off me and I got in trouble. So let's have a look in here. And you see I gave it a feed yesterday of peas. There's actually a zucchini in there somewhere, but we won't worry about that now. Normally when you're doing this, you're going to be doing it with castings, but because we're moving them and we're just doing this for a bit of a fun experiment, let's have a look. So what you do, you fluff it up, upset them all. You'll hear them bubbling when you upset them, and that's a self-defense mechanism. It's also like a sunscreen for them. Now, if you want them to dig deeper, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to dig down. That's why I'm not taking it off at the moment, because there will be worms in this top layer. You can't see them, and there's lots of little babies in here, so let them crawl out on their own. I can already hear them bubbling, and we'll come back in 5 minutes, and I'll show you what we do. So I think because it's been sitting on the ground for quite a while down there, a few hours actually, we've been working around it. They've sort of retreated back into the mix anyway. So this is what we're doing. We're just making sure that there aren't any worms in there. It's pretty rough. You can lose a worm or two. Doesn't matter. And we just keep going like this until we find a worm. There's a bit of old worm food. That's about a week old. So they're definitely in here, but they are definitely hiding too. There we go. There's our first worm. All right, so we chuck him back in. Her, him, her, they.
They, them.
They, them, him, her.
Literally they, them, they're hermaphroditic.
Oh, there's another one there. So you can see, they're bloody tricky buggers, they hide. So you just chop them back, chuck them straight back onto the top of the heap, and keep going, and until you start to get too many worms to pick out, then you leave it alone for 5 minutes, and you come back. This was just supposed to be bedding, but because I was trying to make nutrient-dense compost and worm castings, I was trying to richen it up with the nitrogen, and Jane again told me, she said it would be too rich, and I think she's right. So,
worms.
But if I soaked it in rainwater for like a week, and then I used that liquid in the garden, and then I used this,
like blanch it out.
Yeah, just make it a bit weaker. You know, like you have to soak chicken poo to use it. There they all are. All right. This is the start of the worm bin that we're building, that we're going to change the worms into, move one of my worm bins into a much bigger worm bin, and it's probably even a small scale model of what we're going to do with IBCs. So this is just a bit of road base that we had left over, and we'll come in here. We're just about to set up and show you how to move some more worms. There's the ideas center, and there's some eggshells that I have to crunch up. And we have some worm food. We've got other compost that we can put in there, and we've got straw, basically. So that's the beginning. We're only going to make it about a foot deep, otherwise it'll get too hot. And Besh and I are, well, Besh especially, whoa, is on a mission. So here we go. All right, so come back in here for a sec and just show you. It looks like there's no worms in there, right? Even then, You go down, and there they are. They just started to appear. So we'll leave that one, fluff it up a little bit. We're just taking bits like that off. So far, what's it taken us? About a minute. Doesn't matter if you get 1 or 2 worms in there. There's so many worms in here, it won't matter. So now this is getting a bit sticky down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fluff it up, all of it. Oh, look at that. Zoom in on that. So that's a worm party right there. You can hear them bubbling away. You know what they're doing. I say it all the time. They're boinking. Go on. So I launched into a version of Barry White here, but the microphone, luckily for you, cut out. This would have been a lot easier had the castings been finished. All right, let's go and get some stuff for the compost. I don't know what we got yet, but we'll go and find out. Let's go and have a look. The yard is a mess. I need to clean it up. It really sucks. But, you know, only got so many hours in a day. How flash is this gate? Look at the fence. We're going to fix this today, Besh, but it got a bit windy and a bit yuck. First stop. Here we go. We have some bulk. Look at that, nicely rotted. They'll love that. That's all ready to go for them. That's not out of the deep litter, so I'm not getting the chicken litter today because I don't want that richness. We just want to get them up and going. Chooky, 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 chook, chook, chook. So we're having a face-off before. Look, while we're here, actually, might as well come and have a look at this. Now, there's 3 layers of security. 3 layers. So Grace, the murderer, cannot get in here. And if you come in here, Besh, they're still a bit scared, but the rooster is crowing already. We haven't named any of them. Actually, one has a name. Well, but I'm not sure which one it is. I promised Claire Scrine, that I would name a chicken after her. And which one do you reckon, Besh?
I'd let her pick.
Yeah, all right, Claire, if you're watching, you pick which chicken you get to name. And the rooster, he's got some pretty serious bangs on him. I'm thinking about calling him Justin Bieber, but nobody else likes that name. They're cool though, aren't they? They're very, very cool. And you are safe here now. You're safe. You're safe. We have 100% dog-proofed you in. So they'll be in here for a month. I'm not moving them. I'm not letting them out because the other chickens will beat them up. Beshy's convinced me that we should put one of the chicken's dust baths in there, but what he hasn't reconciled is that he will be the one sieving the rocks out of it, because there's rocks in there and there cannot be rocks in those worm castings. So I didn't tell him that before he filmed this, but he was quite insistent. So I thought, screw you, Besh. That's a job for you. I got a nice sieve though. I'll give him that. This is dangerous, this thing. I'll show you why. In here, dodgy old Brendo forgot to cut one of the points of the tech screws he used off. So
don't put your fingers where you wouldn't put your winkies.
Yes, watch your fingies. Watch your fingies. So this is my actual sieving setup that I've used to sieve loads and loads of compost, loads and loads of worm castings. So what happens? Just turn him around. So because they fit inside each other, you can either take the stuff off the top and let the worms migrate down to the bottom, because this is actually a worm sieve. But you've got to sit it on top of each other, and to do that, you turn it down and you put it in like that, and you make it really thin, and then the worms will migrate down into the nice new home that you've got them. But for sieving purposes, for sieving compost, we come around this way, and for sieving dirt, we'll get a shovel and we'll put this in there, and it's quite fine, so it doesn't love it because it is for compost, but it will definitely get the rocks out, which is what we need. And this will be perfect for the worms. It really will. It'll be perfect. All right. Long-handled shovel, right? Hit myself in the face with it. This is actually quite moist. The drier it is, the better it is, especially for this sort of stuff. So yeah, just move it around. I will get in there with my hands and be mindful of that screw. But you can also, if it's a bit drier, you can put it like that, and you can shovel it up the top. Do it this way so you can see it. and that's it.
And this is going into the worm bin.
Yeah. And if you want a bit of exercise, this actually works the best. There we go. Got all the big stuff out of it. So we'll do that a shovel at a time. And
get back here, Barry.
Yeah. Yeah, I add potash into this dust bar because that keeps mites down, doesn't it? So, and I've got heaps of potash. Got heaps of every green waste. Let's get a close up of this. Run my hand through it. So this would be almost good enough.
Mushy.
Well, this would be good enough. You look at that. That's just soil that I've dug out of my backyard, and look what it's turned into. But that's been in the chicken pen for 3 months, and that in itself is good compost. But we're going to make it better. So what are you doing there, Besh?
Just separating the half composted pea straw. Go on top of the shade cloth that we put in there to get peas growing in there, mate.
Yeah, she's been sitting out there for a while. The worms will really, really enjoy that because it's already broken down a little bit, won't they?
Yeah. So we're going to put that in there. We'll put some dirt on top. We'll put a third of this in, put some dirt on top, make a little lasagna, and then we're going to put some pre-compost on top with the food and everything else mixed in.
Yeah. Now, we're going to be really careful when we spread this food out because we don't want this to get too hot, which is also why I'm not using chicken deep litter, which I have plenty of, and I've tried to use, but it just doesn't work. We just had a conversation about that. So we're going to be quite sparing with the food in the middle of the pile, and most of it will go on top. And that way it can sort of rot and not get too hot. So here we go. And it's going to stay in my shed because I love worms, and I'm pretty happy to have them here. It's easy to access them, and I get to check them every day. So this should be a wonderful, wonderful experiment. It should be amazing. It's kind of similar to the Mr. Alvin dude's worm bin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a Mr. Alvin dude's worm bin, but it's a worm breeder, not a
So
compost maker.
We're not harvesting the castings out of that until it's 100% full. Then what we'll do is we'll put that into the worm wedge with a lot of other healthier stuff, give it a refresh after we flush it, and with all the worms in it too. So we're basically just breeding the worms in there so we can get them into that wedge and get that wedge to have millions and millions of worms. So what we're going to do, this is not the compost competition pile, although I am considering joining the two together just because it might be a bit easier at the moment. But we're going to grab nearly a full barrow full of this, not too much because it's quite precious to me. And yeah, then we're going to take it down there and line that bin with it. Let's have a look in the middle of this. Come closer. Let's have a look. Because it's been cold composting for the last probably 5 days. On that last heat cycle, that last turn, it really died. And I think what's happening is the nitrogen in the grass is burning off really, really quick. And then we're turning it and it is cooling down because that nitrogen is just gone. Because nitrogen is the fuel of the compost pile. Think of it as the fuel like your car needs fuel. So I am starting to think that turning stuff every couple of days is probably too much, and maybe it should be out to every 4 or 5 days, just to keep that. Because if it's hot and it's cooking in there and it's at that right temperature, then it's already at maximum working capacity. You know, it's already going really, really well. If you disturb it, you're probably also breaking pathways in there, fungal pathways and things like that. And I'm starting to come around to the thought that maybe even once a week might be the way to go. So we'll keep experimenting. Once we get these bays and we get square sides on them, we're going to be able to keep stuff hotter for longer. Or will it go hotter for quicker? Will it get too hot because we've got the big square sides on it? We'll find out. But we have planned it so that doesn't happen. Gee, that's good stuff. That is premium stuff. Look at that. Can you get a close-up of that?
Lovely.
That is pure gold. That's what that is. That's
what are you doing now? The straw?
I'm going to go, I reckon we'll go about half of this
Bit of pre-compost.
Bit of the pre-compost. We'll get half of this. I don't think the shovel is the best tool for it. But
No, you should have that right down.
yeah, it's all right. It's broken up enough now.
Use your hand.
No, it's easier this way. Need you know what I need?
Before.
No. No. Bum, bum, bum. Right tool for the right job. Like I always say. So this is actually a bark shovel. And the reason it's a bark shovel is because it's got such a big head on it that if it was normally wood and metal, it would be too heavy to work. So this is basically exactly what this is for. Oh, that's good stuff. So we just worked out that this, whilst it's probably 3 months old, I've only stopped putting stuff in it about a month ago. Now, I haven't done a lot of composting with chip. Most of my stuff has been small scale. And so I'm expecting that this will take longer to break down. But at the same time, it's looking really good for a month. I'd like to speed the process up a bit. I'd like the whole thing done in a month, and then we call that pre-compost, and we're going to feed that to the worms. But this is not right now small enough. The worms only got little mouths, so it's not small enough for them to eat. They'd get around this black stuff, but and
the worms don't actually eat the material; they eat the bacteria that eats the material.
Yeah, and the fungus and the mold and all that sort of stuff. And so this is too big, but it's going to break down with all this stuff in here. I'd say give that about 3 weeks, and that'll look like soil. So this will be the first thing to look like soil, other than the soil. Okay, so we're going to go pretty quick now. We're going to go straw. We're not going to be super precise with it. It's already pretty full, this bin, but it's pretty much, it's all brown at the moment, just about. So it's not going to get hot down the bottom. This is just some bedding, and it's going to drop a lot. So I'm going to put half of what's left in there, and we're going to get this nice moldy stuff. Don't be scared to grab it. Moldier the better. Break that up a bit. Worms love grains, so naturally worms love bread.
Got to get it wet.
Just got to get it a bit wet, but I've actually got my rainwater back, so we should be able to get this nice and wet, and we'll use our bucket down the bottom to catch a bit of veggie water at the start. And we'll put that in the garden because my trees up the back need a midwinter fertilise. Don't forget to fertilise your deciduous trees in the middle of winter, guys. They need it. All right, we got some carrots in there. It's all nice.
Scraps from the restaurant up there.
Yeah, so my wife is the head chef of a pretty fancy restaurant up the road, and she gets this is probably about a day's worth that we're putting in here now. So the rest that she gets goes up into the compost up there, and then obviously we're making that for food for these guys. So we're going to go more dirt. Actually, you know what we'll do is we'll get some space for them with the pre-compost. With a nice big flash shovel. Look, it's got a short handle on it. The reason it's got a short handle on it is because it would be too heavy with a long handle. So before you jump up and down, this tool is all about lightweightness, maneuverability, I guess. So I'm actually just going to put all of this in there. Look out there, Smushy. Okay, that's all that pre-compost. We're going to put, I think we'll put the rest of this dirt in there.
We're going to do the veggies and then the straw on top.
You wait, my good friend. We have one secret ingredient that we...
Oh, the eggshells.
So we've got this beautifully powdered eggshells. Get in there, Besh.
Focus you. Eggshells.
All right, so you see how fine they are. They're super duper fine. Yeah, you don't want the big bits. What you can do is sift the big bits out for your chickens. They love it. You give them good eggs. All right, so we're just going to sprinkle that around. We'll put it all in there. They need some grit. So this provides grit and calcium, and worms need calcium. They need it like a fat kid loves cake, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the rest of the straw in, and then we're going to put the food on top so it doesn't get too hot. I keep talking about it getting too hot. Worms don't like it over about 30 degrees. They'll tolerate up to 40. But after that, you're just cooking worms. You've got little worm sausages. So that's nearly all of that. Stray soda pop can in there. And we'll chuck that in there. Oh, there's a little bit of plastic. There we go. We don't want that in there. We want it au natural. So there we go. Come up here, Bush, and have a look. So here we go. We're going to chuck this food in now. And put it out in a nice, even surface. And away we go. And I've also got food for the chickens from the restaurant. I've got to eat lettuce as well.
You want to put a 20 litre bucket of water in it?
Yeah, let's go find some rainwater, shall we?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're getting down to the last couple of scrapes. This is small. Like, it looks small, but you watch, there's going to be quite a lot of worms in here. So you can go quite quick for the first little bit. You see there's a little baby tucker there. Take him off to the side. He can find his way back in there. He will somehow. There we go. So no worms in there. Just give him a quick check. Scrape from around the side. So generally the first inch, you're good to go. Right? No worms in there. What we got? Then when it starts to get thicker, then that's when you start to find worms. But it's surprising how deep they'll go, or how much you think you've got left to go. So there you go. You can see the top. We just lost one there. Not too concerned. There's two there. And I think that'll do for now. And we are going to go and get some water for the worm bin and come back in 5 minutes. We've got 18 litres of water. It's trickling out of my water tanks. My pump's buggered, but I got some gravity feed. So we don't give worms tap water because it's chlorinated and they do not like it. And even now, I'm putting the water in first. So let's go and give it a nice good water. Now, I've got another 9 litres out the front. And so we're going to actually put 27 litres of water in this. Let's go through it for an hour or so. And then we'll open the tap at the bottom, catch the excess. And I'll just use that. It'll just be vegetable water and stuff. I'll just use that in the garden. So, cool. Come back in a sec. What we're going to do is we're going to time lapse releasing the worms. But before we do that, I'll show you the rest of the harvesting of the worms. So, yeah, stick around. Stick around. So, we've only got a little bit left. And I'm actually honestly worried about how many worms are in here. But I've seen the worm ball. I know they're in there, but it's such a small spot that I always get worried at this point. Not that I've done a lot, but so we're just going to chuck it in there. As we chuck it in there, we muck around with it. I'm going to use this for another bin. It's already nice and chunky. I'm going to reno. See, this is what you got to be careful of. See that little worm in there? Because the little babies, the little wisps, they move slower than the big ones, big girl boys. So what did we say the pronoun for worms was? Ladettes.
Ladettes.
So yeah, we're just going to call them ladettes, all right? Because that's what they are. Look at that. Now there's some big ones in there, but there's a lot of little babies. So we will get that out. Get that stuff. There we go. So I think this has probably taken us about total of about 15 minutes to get to this point. Been doing
on and off 5 times,
yeah,
3 minutes.
Been doing it lots of other stuff though. We've basically built a whole worm bin while this was happening, amongst other things too. There's been a lot of talk about the Food Forest Oz and Beshy's Bees properties and where they're going. Oh, bit of plastic in there. It's from the paper shredder, and so that's it. Now normally this would actually be even easier than this because it would be full castings. Come back here, George. So they'd be full castings, but because it's...
Because Brendo's slack and he hasn't been looking after them properly.
Well, not that. We was experimenting, and the experiment probably didn't work with the deep litter chicken manure. And the other thing is we're pushing the time scale up because we're actually ahead of schedule, and I didn't expect to have a breeder bin that big. So this is well ahead of schedule. What I really wanted to do is, I'm good friends with Jane from Rock and Worms, and I really want to make her technique work because she does it perfectly. And I just thought I knew a little bit better than what I did, and I should have done what she told me to do from the start, and I didn't. And so therefore my worms haven't bred enough. So always listen to the people that know stuff. Always listen, even if you're confident, especially if you're confident. So that's it. Let's go away, have another soda pop, come back. All right, so this is the exciting part. This was my little bin. The other bin was actually the big bin. I tried to get to the biggest bin, but I misjudged. I thought this one was bigger. This one's got thousands of baby worms in it. They're not big, they're not breeders. And I think that it was the one that was separated, and it just didn't have the same amount of worms in there from the start. So there'll be little bits of worms in here. Like you probably see that tiny little tucker there.
I'm zoomed in.
Okay, yep, no worries. But that's okay because we're starting a new worm bin with this stuff, and we're going to do it properly. So you see, you can pull it off. Like you could actually go another level with this. You could go away for 5 minutes. See, there's another little tucker there. But that's okay. You can go away for another 5 minutes, and they will actually spit dirt out of the middle of that ball and burrow in. So they'll keep burrowing.
Massive worm.
Yeah, and it'll just be worms. So what we might actually do that, we might leave these guys for another couple of minutes, and you watch them come back, and they will be an even tighter ball than what they are now. Okay, there wasn't a lot of dirt left in that. There's a particularly active worm, that dude on the top that keeps trying to get away. But that's it. We've estimated, because they're tiny little wisps, there's probably about 2,000 worms there, but they're just juvenile. All right, and I think they're juvenile because I haven't been feeding them enough. And that's my bad because they smashed that zucchini in, 4 days. So, and the zucchini wasn't even going off. They smashed it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do my other one, which is the biggest one. We're going to join the worm balls together so we can see how much worms we've actually got. We're going to put them all in the new worm bin, but a tiny little bit back into a brand new breeder bin because we want to do it like Jane from Rocking Worms. Watch her channel. I want to do it like she does it.
So we've been doing the worms, and we just wet it right up. And this is the concentrate that's come out from flushing it. So we're just going to pour it on the veggie garden and the fruit trees. Let's go then. And the dirt.
Okay, so this is what we got. This is what we ended up with. Now, doesn't look like a lot, but I reckon there's about 4,000 worms in there, and they're all babies. We've pulled a lot of the big girl boys out, and we've put them in another bin, which I'll show you in a sec, with the leftover from that. So yeah, big worm sausage, lots and lots of little babies, but there were quite a few pregnant girls in there. We've got the thermometer in there just to make sure it doesn't get too hot, and you saw how we made it. We've actually used a heap of the tea that came out of this to make a worm food for them. So we'll show you a little bit of that. There we go. And that's actually what I'm going to feed the other bin on full time, basically. That and eggshells, which that actually has in it. And so does this bin. So that's it. We're going to leave you to watch this time lapse for a little bit, and hope you enjoy it. if you said to me 10 years ago that I'd be a worm farming absolute nerd, I would have told you were stupid. Although maybe I'd started gardening by then, but I had no real idea. But I've only been doing it for about a year, and I have absolutely caught the bug, and I don't know why. I love them. I love them. So let's see how big we can get this. The good thing about this is it has never cost me a cent. Every single one of those worms in the bin behind me are from my worm bin or my compost bin at the last house. So I didn't put them in there, and they just appeared one day, and there was thousands and thousands of them. So I stole probably 500, chucked them in a box, and now I have 4,000 in a year, or 5,000. I probably should have more, but as usual, I didn't listen to the people that I should have listened to. It's a trait that I'm trying to get rid of. Anyway, hope you guys have had a lekker week. Have a wonderful day. I'll speak with you soon. Bye now.